Another one of my questions here, one of the last things I like to talk about is around the pricing, because I think so many MSPs price this differently. Some
Yeah.
think it's, $1,000 a month that they need to offer
Mhm.
too. Some people say 10. Where do you find that sweet spot is in terms of matching the pricing to the value of the offering? And how much
Yeah.
does that, like, what would be the range for a typical MSP selling VC so they
Yeah.
could say, hey, the average contract that we sell is between X and Y?
Yeah, it's a good question. As in all things, it depends on your
Yeah,
target
yeah, of
client and your
course.
target market. But what I will say, like again, I see a lot of these programs across a lot of different types of target markets. So in general, what number one, unchain it from your user cost. It has to be
Yes.
unchained from your user cost.
It has to be
Um, yeah,
value driven
you
pricing.
will, you can never, like, you might have a 12-person SaaS company who's selling to Fortune 100 companies that is willing to pay you 12 grand a month for just risk strategy. And if you're
Yeah,
charging them an extra 50 bucks a seat, like how much, holy cow, how much money and bandwidth are you losing? So you're completely oversubscribed. So it just doesn't, the service does not work that way. Now it should be a productized monthly service. Don't trade dollars for hours. You can't scale that.
right.
We're going back to the MSP break fix model. We all know how that ends up, right?
Uh,
But it's more of a consumption based model, which I think is like, everyone wants to talk about that right now. But at the end of the day, it's a productized
Yeah,
SaaS style model for the vCISO service. Now, to what we're actually charging, again, with our price calculators that we provide, and what I see when I work both with individual MSPs or when they go through our self-paced program, typically lowest you could probably get away with to keep it profitable is like 2,500, and that's really low. I
got
don't
it.
see
Yeah,
many that I don't see. That's more of like a box checking. We'll meet with you quarterly just to say you have a risk program. But so
yeah,
we talk about segmentation. You might have a section of your client base that has like, we don't really care. We just want a box check, and you sell them that and an incident response retainer because you're like, you're going to get
yeah,
breached because you have all this risk, right? So you've showed them that risk. Now we're getting into like the tactical operational side of things. We don't have time for that today,
got it.
but then on the high end, I see some of our more uh, like more we see higher maturity type of programs with like really highly regulated SaaS or SEC or other industries like that, selling 12, 15K a month retainers, right? For
Got it.
VC. So, but
Wow.
typically the large, like that's a bell curve, right? So we
Yeah.
see
Oh,
in
yeah.
the center of the bell curve, we see like 5K to 8K a month for vCISO services.
Pretty
And
clear.
I think for what clients want and all the things they need, I talked about incident response planning and those other things, it's hard to be profitable under 5,000 a month with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm seeing.
And then gross margins. What is typically the gross margin that you're trying to target, or is it good gross margin to target?
Yeah.